Thank you to everybody being patient on the phone lines. Let's go to Rick out in Arizona. Rick, the question was, are the Lions heading in the right direction? You know where I'm at. I think you have a good idea where Jeff is. Where are you at this morning, Rick?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, my take is kind of going off of the beginning of the year when I think Dan Orlovsky said it best. If we had just a bad defense, we'd have probably been 3-1, right?
Yep.
We were historically bad at that point in time. Right now, we've got a bad defense, but it's not historically bad. They're actually starting to make some plays out there. So I'm looking at it and thinking, just based off of the last two games, that Brad Holmes' draft picks are actually starting to come together. They're getting a little bit of confidence in them. And, everybody wants to talk about changing the culture, but, the way you change the culture is by winning games and building confidence in them. And I think even Campbell, just based off of his coaching decisions, literally the last couple of games, is maybe giving those guys the confidence that they need rather than trying to go for it on fourth down all the stinking time. Put that defense out there, let them make some plays, or at least attempt to try and make some plays. So I see a philosophical difference just in the last couple of games than we actually seen in the first probably 4 or 5, 6 games.
And you know what? I would have to agree. The fact that he isn't putting his team in bad positions. He's playing the game of turning the field over with punting. He's taking field goals. He's taking the points. He's going for it when necessary. The 4th and goal in Chicago, that was necessary, aggressive, love it. Take the 3 points on the first drive. Like, he is, I don't want to say growing up. And again, Rick, if I'm honest, I have zero tolerance for this. I don't pay you millions of dollars to come learn on the fucking job. Having said that, we are where we're at. We are a year and a half into this regime. A year and a half into this head coach. He's won 2 straight. He's 4-5 in the division. Some way, somehow, it blows my mind. Having said that, it's been better. It's been better the last 2 weeks. His decisions haven't been the headline, which I think is very important. And I think you hit the nail on the head with Brad Holmes' talent. They are making the plays. Outside of Okudah, it's been Kirby Joseph. It's been Aiden Hutchinson. It's been Pascal. It's been Derek Barnes. It's been Malcolm Rodriguez before last week. So you are seeing the plan start to showcase on the field, which you want to see. Mm-hmm. Now it's, what can Dan Campbell be? I think that's the real question this morning. Not even if they're heading in the right direction, is can this guy be a top 10, top 12 coach? Because to find a top 4, top 5, top 6, well, that's tough. That's tough, man. There's only so many, quote, great ones in the league, right? Only a handful. I'm not asking for great, but can you be one of the better ones in the league who can have a 6, 7, 8-year run with a team, who can have multiple division titles, multiple playoff wins? I mean, I'm sorry, but that's my expectation, at least, from any coach, not just Dan. They bring in Joe Schmo tomorrow. Hey, fucker. You got to win playoff games. You got to win division games. This is how it works. You got to win divisions. This doesn't just apply to Dan. It applies to everybody. So that's where I'm at, Rick.
Yeah, and for me, it's not just the wins the last 2 weeks. It's been the divisional games, right? It's Green Bay, it's Chicago, it's the 2 teams that we probably hate the most. And I think that he's given the team actually an opportunity to win the games, and he's let these guys actually go out and play and win the frickin' games rather than making the bad coaching decisions that have cost us the games. And I see that he's growing in that aspect of it, but I like the fact that he's given the players and putting the onus on them to go out and and make the plays and win the frickin' game.
I love it, Rick. Appreciate the call this morning, buddy. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.
All right, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Rick are pretty much in lockstep there.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, that's the same points I brought up, too. I get where you're going with Dan Campbell, but to me, to really say this team's heading in the right direction, I think it's about the players as well. And those players are taking the right step.
I just don't like hiding things or covering things up or putting a Band-Aid on it, right? You're right, and so is Rick.
Right.
You guys are all correct in what you're saying right now. Right now doesn't matter right now, right? In theory. It's what are we projecting? right? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what to project, and I have a lot of questions. But I also don't want to hold that against a team right now that is on a 2-game winning streak, right?
Yeah.
So that is where the internal battle for me is happening. Because I have very serious questions that I don't believe anybody can answer. But now is not the time to bring it up. Because, one, I think it goes against my belief system, which is you win, you're here. You lose, you're here. It's very black and white. I don't separate it. When you win, you get the credit. When you lose, you don't. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to break my philosophy or how I am.
And that's fair.
For him or any head coach or any team. The same would apply to Josh McDaniels. The only thing, if I were giving my full attention to Josh McDaniels every day, the only thing I would point to, the only data point that would even convince me to give him a year 2, Jeff, would be that every year in the NFL, half the teams that make it to the playoffs don't make it the next year. That would be it. That would be the only thing. And that you would have a top 2 pick who could be Will Anderson to reshape your defense, go out in free agency. That would be it. That would be it. That's where I'm at.
But at least with the Raiders, you have that's a roster ready to compete for at least a wild card spot. So that's why when I look at the Lions, it's hard to evaluate Dan. You got to kind of take it week by week, like Pistons fans said in the chat. I agree with you there. But overall, to really have the answer if Dan is going to be a head coach for a long time, it's just hard to have that decision made this year. Now, you can look at decisions he's made and see, do you want this guy being your head coach when you have talent eventually? Yes. But the last 2 weeks, he's done nothing but improve in that area. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. We could see what happens this week against the Giants because they have a real possibility this week
Forget
to build
that they
on
have
what
a real
they've had.
possibility. It's kind of just playing out that way.
What?
Lions are on a right place, right time. Giants 7-2, coming off the bye week win against Houston. They haven't really had all their games have been interesting. They don't score much. That's favorable for the Lions. It's kind of like it's probably written in the stars that the Lions are going to go to MetLife Stadium and win.
And it's probably the worst wide receiver core they've faced.
Easily. And Jeff Okudah and that secondary will have no issues. And if they do, I'd be very disappointed. But
I would agree.